Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Morning Markets, the start of a new month, Monday, the 3rd of August. A couple of things that the team have been discussing at True Potential this morning. Just firstly, looking back at equity market performances on Friday. What did we see there? Well, we saw a weaker performance in both Europe with the Euro Stoxx 50 down slightly over 1%, and a similar thing for the FTSE 100 down about 1.5% on the day. When the US opened, we saw the US follow the European suit and head lower. But then as the day progressed, the US did rally such that the main indices in the US market closed up over the course of the day. It was particularly noticeable as well within the technology sector, where we had strong performance from Apple, up over 10% on the day, a function of the strong results that it had the previous evening. It's also interesting then just to reflect on equity market performance over the past month, the month of July. What did we see there? In local market currency terms, strong performances from the US and also China, which I suppose for some may come as a bit of a surprise given the ongoing dynamics that we've seen in the US-China relationship. But then we have to remember that China is slightly further into its recovery phase, reopening its economy. We've seen a number of months of data continuing to show gradual and positive improvement within China. I think the other thing just to mention over the course of the month in an equity market context is the performance of the more growth-oriented or the technology names which have performed well through July. And I suppose that speaks to maybe a number of factors, but probably the one that's at the front of my mind is just the rising COVID-19 infection rate in the US, the increasing propensity to stay at home, things like that. That feeds into the strength of those technology businesses. Then other things that I think are worth touching on just over the course of July, which are interesting from a markets perspective. Clearly what's been going on in the sovereign bond markets, both in the US and in the UK to an extent as well, where in the US we've seen the 10-year move through what had been its floor at around 60 basis points. And then in the UK we've seen across the yield curve out to 8-year maturity, gilts with a negative yield. The other main story of the month of July was what happened to the dollar. One of the weakest performances of the dollar on a monthly basis for quite a number of years as just the US dollar did weaken against that broad basket of currencies, and indeed I think it weakened against all of the major currencies over the course of the month. Thinking about just the week ahead then and turning our focus there, what are we likely to see? Well, we'll continue with the reporting season in both the UK, Europe and in the US, so we'll continue to get insight into how companies are performing, how they're thinking about their future expectations. And it has been interesting in a UK context over the past week or so to see a number of companies reinstating their dividends or moving forward with their previously announced dividend payment plan. So that gives a sense of how some companies are thinking about the future trends and the future use of cash flow. We'll also have economic data coming out over the course of the week, primarily around PMI data, and that'll give us just further indication of how both the services and manufacturing sides of the economy continue to recover, both across Eurozone, UK and the US. In the UK, we also have the Bank of England meeting this week, and that I think could be interesting. Not that we expect any change in terms of interest rates or the asset purchase programme, but more so around the commentary and the shape of the recovery in the UK. If we cast our minds back 2 months ago to the last meeting, we had very, well, not different, but different perspectives on the shape of the UK recovery between a number of the MPC members, in particular Andy Haldane and Jonathan Haskell. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out, and also if they make any reference to the way in which the gilt market is trading with negative yields out to that 8-year maturity level. So that could be an interesting press conference statement that we get from the Bank of England. That's it for today. Please join me through the rest of the week as we discuss what's been happening in markets. Many thanks.